final breakdown of Golden Kamuy Season 4. It has been a long week of constant recording. I've got a lot of recording videos going up. You guys have a video scheduled tomorrow. That is my end of season review, so I hope you guys enjoy it. I have done some fun anime awards. I've also crowned my top 3. It was difficult, and at one point I thought it was going to go somewhere completely different. I have committed, and that airs tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for your support this season, and I do have the good news, if you haven't heard already, that Golden Kamuy is getting a season 5. The poster is already up. Weirdly, it is just Leaky Brain in an empty room. Whether there are hints or anything there, I'm not so sure. I was thinking about Leaky Brain quite a bit this episode. Leaky Brain is, of course, our main antagonist. Count Hijikata as an antagonist, but not so much on the same scale as Leaky Brain. It makes sense that he is on the final poster, but it's going to be interesting to see if we get any more final posters coming out. Likelihood is we're not going to have season 5 until a year, maybe 2 years. I don't know how long we tend to take. Thank you guys so much for your continued support, and I am going to be sad to see everyone go. I will, of course, do season 5 when it airs. This is an anime that I found on my own. I found it quite late. You guys were on a break waiting for season 3. I binged 2 seasons, got obsessed, did season 3 with you guys, then I did season 4. I'm very glad to be able to finish it with you guys, break it all down on the channel and actually tell you guys my thoughts at the end. Of course, I will go back for the manga because a few friends have told me that the manga is where it's all at. There's a lot more going on in the manga, and of course the anime doesn't do it justice. I have also got some plans for this channel as a whole, long-term goals. Can make it a bit more worthwhile being part of the Noodle Bowl, getting my butt into gear and getting us a website, which I think would be really, really cool. Make sure you're following the page, slowly updating you guys on what's going on. But next season, we're going to have my new feature. I'm going to bring to you 12 first episode 1s of seasons of anime that I absolutely love, already have seen, and they're all probably even on my top 10 animes of all time. I'm bringing it to you guys so you get to know me as your anime host. It also allows you to pick up new animes if you are new to anime or you watch seasonal, so maybe you've only joined recently. These are going to be shows that you haven't had a chance to watch, so I really hope that I can promote these shows to you. This is the final episode. When it comes to Golden Kamuy, I've always said that I always associate Golden Kamuy with winter. There's been episodes where I've been so uncomfortable with how cold it is on the screen, I felt cold. Finally get to see some spring coming in, which I think also might be showing us that the new season is here. It's also quite a nice intro because it gives us the importance that one tree can have. It's supposed to show you the way that the Ainu view the environment is a give and take situation. If you're taking something, you have to give something back, which I really like. The idea of balance. When it comes to Golden Kamuy, the staple of every episode is Asirapa will teach you something, which I think is very important for the show. That she's teaching Sugimoto and everybody around her. This is my view. This is how I see the world. This is how we see the world. We do get some information on Ogata, which is really cool because you know me, I do love my Ogata and how mysterious and cryptic he is. I don't think he is anymore. I think coming into this season, I've had a bit more of a rethink, and the fact that I do think he has actually done everything to plan. And with this new information that we've gained, I think it backs up the fact that he is, of course, working that double agent with Leaky Brain. Usami doesn't seem to like Ogata whatsoever. I figured they weren't really best friends, but I didn't really realise that they hated each other this much. It's all down to how twisted a lot of the followers for Leaky Brain are. We know that Usami worships the very ground that Leaky Brain stands on. A lot of them do, but not to the degree I would say with Usami who feels like he loves him. Ogata, I'm not so sure, would be trying to go for the L word when it comes to Leaky Brain. He killed his brother because he wanted to show everybody that his dad was not a great person. I kill my brother, he might love me. And this is something that we've heard with Ogata already. We heard it with Asirapa when he's talking about everybody has the potential to be bad, and the reason why he's coaxing Asirapa to kill him is because he wants to prove that you're this beautiful, pure thing. You can do something dark. Very wonky philosophy that he's got. Very interesting to see how his brain works. Why is he taking certain actions? It's the idea that everybody has the potential to be bad. Just because you're a love person doesn't make you any better. And we saw that again with the brother, where he tries to get the brother to kill. He tries to get the brother to sleep with another woman. I can't say the actual word on the YouTube. He tries to make his brother commit sins in a sense. We do get the information that Leaky Brain didn't want him to kill his brother because he saw him as a tool. Something that I feel with Leaky Brain is that some of the actions that the people take because of their extreme crooked thinking doesn't line up for his best interests. You'd expect him wanting to keep a few more handy people around, but Ogata goes and kills his brother anyway. The moment as well where we see Usami and Ogata dragging back the prisoner from the front line. Usami keeps Ogata talking by agreeing to everything. This is what I think. And then Usami goes, yep, I also agree. And then he says something else and he goes, yep, absolutely, completely. Probably also a good talent that Usami has is that probably does actually agree with what Ogata's saying, but at the same time, if he was to say something like, no, actually, I don't agree or anything, Ogata would stop. And we've seen that moment where Ogata has tried to kill someone before because they disagree with how he thinks. I guess a credit to Usami to know how to handle people, even if he doesn't like them. He's able to get that information from them. He wants to get Ogata talking because it allows him to have more information. Do not want this to just boil down to daddy issues, but it could. Everything with Ogata could just boil down to the fact that he was never loved. Actually really sad because child of a mistress and his father obviously had a favoured son, and you can imagine how hard that must have been as a kid. Shows us how crooked thinking can lead to very dangerous actions, and in the end we know that Ogata kills his father and his brother, but it didn't work, as Usami says that he was never accepted by his father. Where we see Usami getting more and more jealous because he thinks that Ogata, after getting a bit of praise from Leaky Brain, might fall for Leaky Brain. And I don't think that is the case. I don't think that's what Ogata wants. There is a small element of chaos with him. But I do believe that Ogata is firmly on the side of Leaky Brain, even after having this new information. Interesting to see that Leaky Brain believed that because the son was dead, that the father would then realise that he missed the other son. He missed Ogata. He'd be like, oh, I've lost one son. I should probably take the chance to get back with Ogata. Curious to wonder if Leaky Brain actually believed this, if he wanted the best turnout. I think he would, because he wants to use people who've got positions of power. His father had suddenly gone, Ogata, I love you. You're my only son now. Leaky Brain would have just seen this as a win as well, because he has somebody in a very high military position that he could abuse. Twisted logics going on when it comes to the followers of Leaky Brain, Usami in particular, getting more and more jealous, and then to the point where they actually attack each other. Wouldn't have worked out good for Leaky Brain, I feel. He doesn't seem to have the full control over the people around him. Yes, they love and adore him, but because of this undying love and this how powerful some of this love can become to obsession, we're seeing a lot of actions being taken that don't technically benefit Leaky Brain. Ogata dying right there and then would have done nothing for him. I believe that Ogata is still working for Leaky Brain in his own way. Whether it's to find the gold first, bring it to Leaky Brain and try and get that praise because he feels like he might be loved for it. Recently talking my idea through with another friend who hasn't seen the ending either. He did point out that in my idea there was a flaw, because I said that Ogata was obviously working for Leaky Brain, and then I mentioned the fact that there was the Asuripa thing. They pointed out that if Ogata, who was definitely going to go and kill Asuripa, if he had killed Asuripa, it would have backfired for Leaky Brain. I think I countered it with emotions. It's human emotions. So the idea was that he wanted to do something for Leaky Brain, but his own emotions got in the way because Asuripa's here trying to prove that she's all pure and innocent. Doesn't buy into his actual belief that everybody has the power to do wrong. Leaky Brain apparently sees people as family. Another point of contention, because Usami believes that it's just all pawns to him. Whether he just wanted to hear Leaky Brain say that you're my comrade in arms, not quite sure. I think I do buy into the fact that he sees them as family, because at the moment, from what we can tell, his ultimate goal is to create a place where all of his family, all the people close to him, have a place to live, a country that they can fit into. So he's building a place for them. But as part of the episode is supposed to show us how there's a lot of squabbles going on within the main group. The idea of loving somebody can get out of hand. I don't think Leaky Brain would have wanted that. Any results, if Usami had died there, would have been bad. If Ogata had died there, would have been bad. So it's lucky that Ogata was on it and smacks the guy with a bedpan in the face. Didn't realise that Usami did not like Ogata to that degree. I knew they didn't like each other, and I don't think Koito likes particularly a few people in the group, and I think there's a few moments where Tsukisama definitely doesn't like Koito. I think those two don't like each other. Even in this tight-knit group with Leaky Brain at the top, there are a lot of issues with people lower down not getting on, rubbing shoulder to shoulder. There's a bit of friction. Whether this might come out in the last season, and that might be the downfall for Leaky Brain. End on Usami's monologue, which I think is quite interesting. Interrupted by the gunfire of Ogata killing the duck. Switch, because we're talking about Ogata, now we're going to end with us on Ogata. Ogata tells us now that he has mastered his gun with the left hand, because initially he was a right-handed guy. If I lost the use of my right arm for any reason, I would be absolutely screwed. I'm very much predominantly right-handed. Ogata showing us how smart he really is and how determined he is, but again he says, I'm not really a sniper until I've killed somebody. Now I am starting to get very bad vibes. I believe that Ogata is going to die next season. I don't know how. I've just got these vibes. I think most of these characters are probably going to lose their lives in the next season, because again it's the final season. At the end of the day, if he gets caught, he's probably going to jail. He's going to die in action, and I think at the end of the day it's going to be how he'd prefer to go out. I did think that Vasily was the one who was going to wipe him off the planet. I don't think that's the case. I keep thinking about Sugimoto. He literally wants to destroy him at this point. Probably going to come down to him, or maybe it will come down to Usami stabbing him in the back or something because he sees him and hates him. I think there's a lot of people who have got it out for him, and it's just going to be a case of who's going to get there first. Let's talk about the second half of the episode now. This is pretty much the final section. Pirate last week I knew was kind of cottoning on because he's a smart person. He's very smart, and Asirpa's got very telltale eyes connected to Wilk, and he made that connection before we even got the reveal. The fact that he's digging around trying to work out why Tsukamoto and Asirpa would be hanging out together. Shiraishi does his best to say, no, it's just because she can hunt. He starts to pick away at the motivations, trying to work it out, because as he says, you're the kind of person who would run away if everything turned bad. If it got really bad, you would just kind of slip out of there. For you to be hanging around these people means that you know that there's an ace, you know there's something good, and you know there's a reason why you feel strongly that only with a few of you, you're going to win. I already theorised that he was a very clever character and he would have figured it out regardless. Him also showing that he knows Shiraishi's character because they've known each other from being in the prison. But that is when we get to see the bit of gold, which has the similar markings to what Wilk's been doing with the tattoos. There's a lot of little link-ups in this last bit. I've never really believed that Wilk killed the Ainu. We've been told so much that that's what's happened, but it didn't really make sense even in my head as well, because he couldn't just be stealing the gold and then go into the effort to trying to get Asirpa to find it to fight for the Ainu, at the same time going to kill them. There's a lot of things which just didn't make sense, so I've never really bought into the fact that he was a bad person in that sense. But it would be interesting to finally actually get the answers to what happened, who the hell did it, where the rumours initially from Wilk doing it came from. I love the moment where Tsukamoto is cooing over the cute fluffy thing and decides that he doesn't want a new set of gloves. He's such a cool character. As I've said, I am going to be devastated if something bad happens to Tsukamoto. He's a really wholesome character. Now, if I was to pick a husbando who wasn't a bad person in the show, I would be going for probably Tanigaki or Tsukamoto, because they're both such wholesome characters. I am going to be absolutely heartbroken if something happens to Tsukamoto. I'll probably be crying if something bad happens to him, because he's such a nice character. Even when asked about what he wants to do with the gold, it's still a very wholesome thing that he wants to do, which I think is really nice. Scenes where we see Wilk and Asirpa together, I always love, because I always wonder about their kind of relationship, because of rumours, I guess, have been built up with Wilk and how he killed people and how he stole gold and stuff. It's very difficult to gauge what he was like as a person. Seeing him teaching her about the stars and the markings, I thought was really nice to see them together. Sadly, apparently there is no dick constellation just yet. You never know. I'm sure at some point someone's going to draw a big dick on the moon, because they've been there long enough, and humans just do that. There's dicks all over like books and stuff. Interesting to get a little tiny hint that the code to crack the tattoos has got the mother's name in it, which probably means Asirpa's name probably might be in there as well. But it does seem that the code that he's given is personal. With it being personal, containing the real mother's name, which Asirpa and only a few people around her would know, definitely shows you that he wanted Asirpa to crack the code. It's going to be interesting to see if the anime actually allows us to see the thought process behind the cracking of the code, if it happens. I still don't know if it's going to happen, because there seems to be a lot of motion towards the idea that the tattoos are useless, but I don't believe that they are. I think we've followed them for such a long time now. If they suddenly turned out to be useless, there'd be a bit of an outcry for that being pointless and Golden Kamuy having no real purpose behind its biggest gimmick. Asirpa definitely asking that question because she doesn't want to lose Tsukamoto. The reason why she doesn't want to reveal all of her cards just yet is because she wants to keep him around. And like I said last week, I just struggle to see them together when I view Asirpa as such a young character. He doesn't initially answer the question because we get to see how they knock down trees in Hokkaido, which is really cool. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to shout timber before you knock anything down. I was a little bit worried because we saw Asirpa taking some damage. our escape king who ends up finding them and slithering through the trees. Sophie is also back. I did predict that she was going to come back for Asirpa. She does want her revenge for Kiro, which is quite concerning because there's a lot of characters now alive who have got reasons to kill other characters. There's a lot of motivations going on. There's a lot of characters who could, if they wanted to, go after someone. Sophie would want to probably kill Tsukizuma, Koito. There was somebody else, maybe Tanigaki. I can't remember who actually dealt the final blows. There's a lot of characters now who seem to have it out for other characters. Season 5 could get very messy. Sugimoto finally telling Asirpa what he'd do with the gold is quite a nice moment because we, the audience, knew about the woman. He was going to pay for the eye treatment, but he was very happy and accepted the fact that she ended up marrying his friend. I don't think he would go for love purposes. I'm not quite sure that he'd go back and probably try supporting her love-wise, but he's happy to stay with her until she's happy. You can see the disappointment in Asirpa's eyes, which is sad because you know that she's fallen for him. With him, I don't think he's allowing himself to see her in that way. She is such a young character. I don't know if I ship them, guys. I'm sorry. If she was a bit older, maybe I'd ship them. Good old Shiraishi, very, very happy because he might be a greedy person, but at the end of the day, he has got a very good heart. He did end up guarding Asirpa as promised. He said he would do that. I know that technically she's the key to the gold and he has a reason to not want her to die, but he didn't have to do that because Pirate told you he's the kind of person who would run away if things started to go wrong. There's also the moment where he gets very angry at the beginning of this season with Sugimoto for not seeing Asirpa and as a person and how she wants to do and what is her motivations. He gets really angry with Sugimoto because he cares about Asirpa and her needs. He might have his flaws, but at the end of the day, in a show full of cast members who are very problematic at the best of times, he is one of the least problematic characters, I think. We do end with the final big old wrap up for the scene with the idea of balance and the fact that environmentalism and giving back. So if you take something, you give it back. Asirpa starting to realise this is probably what I should be doing. And as she sees the gold and she works out that there's no way that he would kill people trying to protect. Something isn't lining up. And again, we've got the big old question. Who killed the Ainu? Who actually betrayed them? There must have been somebody else involved. Something else must have happened. I've never really bought into Wilt killed people thing because I don't think we've actually had any hardcore evidence. We've been told quite a few times for certain people, this is what he did, he's a bad person. I've never really bought it. I've never really had any reason to buy it. It's going to be interesting to see if we ever get a answer. My theory is probably going to be Leaky Brain or the government. Probably trying to set it up and maybe they saw the gold, they wanted the gold and they needed a reason to kind of cause a coup or something and get him to move the gold. It's probably wrong, but I am excited to see where we go. That is really my thoughts on this episode. Wrap up wise, what did I give it out of 10? I've given it around a 7.9-ish out of 10. I rounded it to an 8 on Mal because I can't do points. For me, it was a good season, but it wasn't the same as some of the other seasons for me. It was great, but it seemed to lack a little bit. I know we've had a swap of studios. I still think that the story is as good as ever. I really want to know what's going on. I still think we've got one of the best antagonists out there of the season. He's so well written and he's such a manipulative character. So loved as well. It's going to be very interesting to see how things come to an end for him because I am predicting that he's not going to win, but I don't know how they're going to deal with him because he's such a powerful character. They're probably going to use Hijikata to weaken him or something. I don't see Hijikata surviving very long. I think Leaky Brain's probably going to kill Hijikata. Maybe one of his men take him out. Maybe Isami is so jealous or maybe it's Ogata at the end. I don't know. Going to be so interesting to see how this show ends and I can't wait to experience it with you guys in real time too. We're going to find out week by week what the ending is. Of course, some of you guys have read the manga, you know. Thank you guys so much for not spoiling it. With this show in particular, I've only really had one spoiler, but it's a spoiler that I saw very, very quickly and I didn't really stay around to verify the facts, so I didn't want to go any further to it. So that was my own fault. It wasn't like you guys spoiled me. Thank you guys so much. I will hopefully see you in another season. Thank you guys for your support. It's been a fantastic season. I'm excited to see how it ends. I will be very sad when Golden Kamuy comes to an end, but I don't want them dragging it out. Thank you for your support. I hope you look after yourselves and that we get to see each other again in another video. Have a great day, guys. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye, guys.